Hello folks and welcome to the first Tippcast of 2023 with myself, Shane Stapleton, joined as ever by the Nina Guardian Head of Sport, Shane Brophy. Shane, how are tricks?
Good, Shane, good to be back. Refreshed, ready for another year.
Yeah, you're looking clean shaven, you're looking like you're nice and tidy, ready for action, but I'd say you'll be
haircut this morning, so just so that
championship haircut.
I had to cut the haggard there. It was getting a bit wild, so
You'll be looking more haggard by the end of the season.
Left it on to keep, especially for Saturday evening. Look, some of these cold night matches.
Yeah. So we've plenty to talk about as well. It's been 6 or 7 weeks since we've had a show for you. We wanted to give Tipperary a chance to go through their Munster Hurling League. We'll be talking about that. The footballers, they've had their first clash in the league. That was a match against Down. Tip Ladies footballers, we're going to look at the Hartry Cup final, the Glen Kilmacud situation, and anything else that you want to talk about. So get any comments or questions in and let us know what's on your mind. We'll start off with the Tipperary hurlers. So it's a few weeks in. Liam Cahill's had an opportunity to sort of, give a few of these players game time, losing the first game in the Munster League to Waterford. Bit of a disappointing performance. I thought they were excellent in Nina against Clare. That was a victory that could have been by 10 or 11 points from my watching of the game. And then well ahead against Cork before fading in the last 18 minutes or so, and Cork took the title. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's strange. You think if 3 games, you've only won one, you think to be maybe a little more, I'd say, despondency or maybe a little more caution. But I think for me, from what I saw, like you'd have to be optimistic. Maybe look, you're not saying we're going to win Munster Championship, win All Ireland, but compared to last year, it looks like we have a plan. We know what we're trying to achieve. There's energy about what we're trying to do. It's not perfect by any means, but I sort of you can see what they're trying to evolve. Like their players coming in, given a chance, but they're taking their chance too. And I suppose we'll know an awful lot more over the next few games. Like I suppose one of the reasons, as you say, we didn't have a show during the Munster League. It was like teams need to be now breathe, but I think we can start making assessments from next weekend onwards. And I suppose we've only, I suppose at the moment, Tip will only have 5 games minimum. But I'd be optimistic that there's a fair chance Tip will probably at least get to a semi-final. It's not the hardest. It's the easiest group of the 2 Division 1 groups. So, like Tip, like people have said, the league has been devalued for the last few years. It's fine, but every county will take the league on what they need it for. And I think Tip are one of the counties that need to nearly go bullheaded at this. Get some wins, generate some momentum, generate some confidence, get some confidence into the young lads, get some games into the experienced guys, and try and gel a team that we'll be close to knowing the championship team come the end of the league.
Yeah, like a lot of new players have been tried, and a lot of players that we've seen before have been tried in new positions. Yeah. Michael Breen is finally in full back, and obviously that put a pep in my step years on from when I would have liked to have seen it. But can you talk to me about some of the players that you would have been impressed with so far? I mean, Seamus Kennedy moving up to wing forward, and obviously he's roaming and collecting ball. What I've seen of him playing in that position, I think he's been revitalised as well. He's been really good.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised at that. Like I did think Tip were going to have to do something to maybe generate a bit more power further up the field. And like Seamus, I would have seen Seamus play in the forwards at club level in 2021. Like, and he's very, very good, and he's very, very good at drifting into pockets of space untracked, if you know what I mean. Like he was sort of St. Mary's played Laura in 2021, and he started at 14, but for 5 minutes he could be wing forward, for 5 minutes he could be midfield, he could be in his, like he reads the game so well. So I'm not surprised that the Liam Cahill will push him further up the field, and I think they'll stick with that. Like Brian O'Mara only played the 1 game, and that was the Clare match, and he just looked so assured at centre back. I think he's our 6. He'll probably be used. Maybe we might see him once in the first 2 games. I know he still has the UL commitments at the moment, and maybe him and Garrod O'Connor will probably have to be managed in the early rounds. Garrod O'Connor was excellent against Clare, really, really good as well. So I thought Conor McCarthy for the second half of the Clare match, and then the time he was on against Cork before he hurt the hamstring, looked good at cornerback, and that's a pity because we're thin on options in the full back line.
Yeah.
No Barry Heffernan, no Craig Morgan, sadly no Dylan Quirk. We need somebody to come through at cornerback to go up against to complement Cahill Barrett. So hopefully when that injury clears up, I think Conor McCarthy would be one. Be interesting to see now on Saturday when the Ireland team announce who will they be leaning on as goalkeeper. Rhys Shelley's got 2 games in Munster. Barry Hogan has got 1. Barry's been there a few years, but you can't say he was ever nailed down as number 1. I know previous managements tended to rotate the goalies. I think Cahill might be better off picking his number 1 and giving him the 5, 6, 7 league games, giving him a chance to establish himself more confidence. I think it's a tight call either way. Like he's worked with Barry Hogan underage. He knows what he can do. I thought Rhys Shelley's puck outs against Cork were excellent. So that'll be an interesting one for me. And then as much as the youngsters is another one, Sean Ryan. I thought he was outstanding against.
And to be fair, now for the last couple of years, you've been you've been plumbing for him.
Yeah, he's just low centre of gravity forward, very very tricky. I suppose particularly with Andrew Ormond having to pull out with a knee injury, like we needed some bit of a low centre of gravity, knacky sort of a forward, and he looks like he fits the bill there. And then as mentioned, the old guard like Bonner Maher's there. He got the game against Cork. Noel McGrath, I'd be expecting Noel McGrath to start on Saturday. He's captain. You think first game out, the captain should probably lead the show. Where will he play? Will he be centre forward? Will they put him midfield? Seamus Callanan, he'll need to get some game time. Ronan Maher missed most of last year's club campaign. He probably needs games as well. And where will Ronan play? Will he be wing back? I'd actually like to see Ronan midfield because he's powerful, he's strong, he can pick off a score. Because I don't think he's centre back material. I think he'll either be number 7 or he could be into midfield.
Yeah, definitely the way the team is shaping up, it is running the ball through the lines, and you need pace and you need power and all those sort of things that you expect in modern hurling. I was impressed with Conor McCarthy myself as well, like good in the air. The only thing is the last time out, a couple of times when he's driving out with the ball, he tends to get turned over a little bit. But this, I think, is part of the whole thing of adjusting to the extra pace at intercounty level. So in no way am I taking a pop at him. It'll probably take a little bit more time to get used to it. Enda Heffernan's done quite well as well, I would have said. The likes of Keano Dwyer, Johnny Ryan, they've had decent periods as well.
It was great against Cork to see Brian McGrath finally crack at senior level. Okay, Munster League, but like we've been sort of waiting on Brian for a few years, and we're sort of where's his best position, and he's not blessed with the best pace, but God, he's an outstanding hurling brain, and I think they're going to make a go of him at wing back. Just take the chance. So like I think any defender is going to look slow when he's ran at, like, but I suppose the thing will be, okay, you might be losing something if Brian is back there, but you'd be gaining so much more in his distribution going the other way as well. And either using the stick pass or knowing when to give a good hand pass. Like his hurling brain is so good.
Yeah, and then I would have said Gavin Ryan is a very good hurler. I'm not sure cornerback is his position though.
He's a half back for this club. Like
I don't think that one has particularly worked, but that's no slight on Gavin because he is out of position. Like Alan Tynan, I think, is the archetypal sort of player that Cahill wants in his team because he's brilliant at running through the lines. Maybe that's something to do with his rugby as well, that he knows how to run, fix the man, and then pop it off. Like that goal he set up with Sean Ryan, and he set up chances, and he had a goal chance himself against Clare. So I see him fitting in nicely, and maybe people wouldn't have seen him coming in this quickly, but like
they have a lot of options there around that midfield area. I think Tynan can play there, Dan McCormack, like Conor Stapleton had a great Munster League, like, and he was actually one of the few players in the championship last year to sort of came out of it with any real credit.
Yeah, and then we know that Mark Keogh and Conor Bowe have plenty about them, but probably haven't seen it just yet in the Munster League so far this year. And have you been happy with Michael Breen at fullback?
I'm not convinced by it. I had my reservations, even going back to underage, that while he played some fine games back there. I find he's a bit of an all or nothing defender. He likes to try and win every ball, and I just think sometimes you've got to play the percentages. And like James Quigley, he's still there. Ronan Maher, I just think he's too much of a hurler to be at fullback. I think he's a good fallback option if we're stuck. I think a guy I'd love to see play, and you mentioned him play back there, is Enda Heffernan. I just think he's a big guy. He can hurl. He can mix it physically as well. I think he's one that maybe they've nailed their colours to the mast and see Enda Heffernan maybe as a wing back option. But I think there's times where maybe he could fill in a fullback as well.
Yeah, maybe so, but I see the Breen one working because he hasn't played there in so long, and it'll probably just take a little bit of time to sort of be like, okay, I don't need to attack every ball. So for example, the ball broke against Cork early on. He probably went up for the catch. Maybe in future he'd be more looking to knock it out in front of himself. Yeah. Because if you do go up all or nothing close to the square, if it goes wrong, it tends to be a goal. But look, it's not all down to him. Generally, goals are mistakes from a couple of people. Is there anyone like Garrod O'Connor at centre forward? He seems like such a good link player. And you'd think big man, like he'd be turning and barreling through all the time, which he can. Yeah. But he's very good at just getting the ball, popping it off and setting someone through, which is something that Tip definitely need.
Oh, yeah. And we saw it already, particularly in the Clare game, that you had the Cahill Beavens MO from underage. If there's a smell of a goal, you go for it. You take the chance. And I think the player who could have a big year for Tip this year is Jake Morris. I just think he's just at his peak now. I tell you, a brilliant campaign for Dine Rogue last year. He should thrive in a style of hurling that Tip are going to play, going for goals. Like if he's one of your inside forwards, who's going to be the second one? And I'd be probably leaning towards Jason Ford being the second inside forward, or maybe your full forward, or maybe telling Jason you're our 14 this year, because he's scoring all around him. Looks like he's relishing the leadership role, and he'd be my go-to 14 for the league anyway. Yeah,
it's very hard to imagine though that the team, when it gets to championship side, would include all of Jason Ford, Noel McGrath, Seamus Callan, and Bonner Maher. So, how many of those?
Yeah, I wouldn't foresee. I would think you're going to have a balance of experience, maybe a couple starting and some coming off the bench, like depending on what suits what opponent is maybe coming up or who's in form or things like that. So it all depends. Like Seamus Callan, we haven't seen him this year. He had a good club campaign last year. I don't know of any injury. Maybe I know he's does be slow to start campaign, so maybe they're just wrapping him in cotton wool, hoping to unleash him in the league. I'm sure. Look, he should be fresh, having played little to no intercounty hurling last year.
Yeah. So all in all, what you've seen so far, pretty happy.
You'd have to think going into the league. So we lost to Kerry last year. We were going in not in great shape. Look, as I said at the start, we tend to have from the Munster League, we sort of have a shape and a bit of a plan. Like Saturday evening against Laois, it's a game we'll be expected to win. It's a game we should win. It's a game not without his banana skin, with Willie Maher in charge of Laois for the first time, two Ballingarry men coming up against each other, so that'll be an interesting side plot. But typical Tipperary, it's the kind of a game that we tend to struggle in maybe over the years. Maybe we get through in the end without being great. I'd love to see maybe Tip set down a small bit of a mark, or maybe players maybe starting with a bit of energy, a bit of fire, and I suppose taking it on into the Kilkenny game the following week.
Yeah, and Laois did okay in their Walsh Cup outings this year. So, they're definitely not a bad side. They'll be looking to kick on. They've a couple of players coming through as well. Like, for example, James Duggan in the full forward line. He's a guy we had with the UCD Freshers last year. Like, he's a good talent as well. If you look at it last year, we'd lost to Kerry in the Munster Hurling League. So, straight away, the complexion of it is that bit more positive. Even if, the collapse against Cork was a little bit unfortunate and unwanted as well. Yeah. But it does keep down the hype somewhat. And even playing a low-key first fixture as well also kind of keeps down the hype.
Yeah. Like it was it's something that I suppose the management have sort of more or less adopted for since they came in. Like Liam Cahill is more or less spared the few post-match interviews. He's done no media work, even his appointment. He rather just got down to business. Same with the coming up to the National League, just wanted to stay quiet. Like, so look, he's focused on getting Tipperary moving, getting a bit of momentum, get a few wins. Hopefully, Saturday night get off to a winning start. Take it into Kilkenny. Like, you're looking in their 5 National League games. You're probably looking 4. You're looking at minimum at least 3 wins. Maybe 4 will get you a semi-final. So you're looking beat Laois. You're probably looking at Antrim, but that's a dirty game at the go up to Belfast in the last round if you need a win. So at Darren Gleeson up there, I wouldn't be nailing that one to the mast. You have Kilkenny away. Derek Ling, it'll be Derek Ling's first home game as Kilkenny manager. Kilkenny or who are they playing this weekend?
They're playing Antrim this weekend.
But they're away, so that'll be Derek Ling will want to win that one. So that'll be Dublin away. We don't know about Dublin yet under Micheál Donoghue. Waterford, always tricky. It's a home game for Tip in March. Like, and there's rumours in Waterford at the moment of maybe they've lost Pádraig Mahoney to retirement, and maybe rumours of maybe 1 or 2 more Ballygunner boys maybe haven't stepped away. So that'll be an interesting one. I just thought it was fascinating that in Division 1B, Darren Gleeson is the only manager that wasn't in charge. That was in charge of his team last year. Everybody else is new managers. It's some turnover in Division 1B.
Yeah, it really is, to be fair. And what do you like at this juncture? Like, obviously, there's 5 teams who'll all be going, at each other's throats to get out of Munster. It's very early in the year. We've seen very little, but we kind of have to make our boneheaded predictions at this stage. Can you see Tipperary getting out of Munster this year?
No. First of all, like I would have written about it, but I think a good year for Tip. I think that I mentioned earlier about a National League. I think to be counties that makes a Tip, maybe Galway, Cork.
You're a disgrace, Ben. You're a disgrace.
Tip Galway, Cork might go at the National League a bit harder than other counties, maybe Kilkenny as well, because they need to find something. Limerick don't need to bother with it. To Wexford, I don't think so. Like certain counties will need to get something out of the league, so I think Tip need to go hard at it. I just think it come to championship, I think Tip's schedule is rotten. 2 away games to start, Clare and Cork. And then potentially your 2 hardest games are to finish at home to Tip. And maybe, I think Waterford, depending on how they get themselves together, or still have a lot of talent there. Under Davy Fitz didn't go down there for no reason. Plus, they probably have Patrick Fitzgerald in their forward line as well this year. So it's like it's going to be hard to win in Ennis. It's going to be hard to win in Cork. If Cork are I have this awful fear that Tipperary could play very, very well in the 4 matches of Munster and still lose all 4 of them.
And lose all 4? Wow.
That's how, but that's the level of the other 4 counties at the moment.
Yeah, look, I think Tipperary,
and that's not downplaying the level of talent in our team and maybe what we could do. It's just like we were bottom of the group, we were bottom of the table for a reason last year.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but like teams do turn it around relatively quickly. Yeah. The injuries that Tipperary have since last year, that definitely is a bit of a blow. But I think there'll be a bit of a kick in Tip this year. Do you want to do our sort of project our 15s come championship? I mean, obviously we're taking a real punt here because we don't fully know. So I think people will forgive us a little bit. John, we'll start off with the teams that we predicted at the start of last year. So this was last year when we were trying to predict our 15s for the championship. So we'll obviously scrub a nice bit of those, but the teams have changed around a nice bit. So do you want to start off with yours?
Yeah.
Go for it. People get your comments in.
Yeah, I go for Barry Hogan at the moment just because he's a bit more experienced. Wouldn't be surprised if Rhys Shelley is the guy. So Cahill Barrett. I go with Breen for the moment because like they've given him 3 games. Personally, I'm not a fan of him back there, but I'll Conor McCarthy for 4, because I think he's an out-and-out cornerback. 5, I go with Brian McGrath.
Okay, and you were talking up Brian O'Mara for centre back.
Maher for 6.
Now, are you putting in Ronan Maher?
Ronan Maher for 7.
Okay, then how do you feel about the pace in the half back line then?
Like the Limerick half back line is not quick. But they're not turned. They make sure they're not turned.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Keep going. Midfield.
8, Conor Stapleton.
Yep.
9.
You're looking at maybe Ger Brown, Paddy Cahill.
I go Dan McCormack for the moment.
And actually, Ger Brown has been used in the full forward line a little bit in recent times.
10, I go Seamus Kennedy.
Centre forward, are you looking at Grode O'Connor, Noel McGrath?
Noel McGrath. I know his captain. He's nearly has to start, and he's playing too well last year.
I'm going to
12, I go Grode O'Connor.
Okay.
So one of the newbies in.
So height-wise, he could maybe be a Grode Hegarty, hopefully.
Yeah. 13, Jake Morris. 14, Jason Ford. And 15, I go Connor Bope, as he can probably drift out to the half-forward line as well.
So realistically, I'll just throw him back out a little bit. Right. So that means there's no Mark Keogh for you.
No, he hasn't done enough for me. There's a couple of things like his finishing needs to improve. Like, he gets himself in a lot of good positions, and he's not ruthless enough. And there's a couple of times I would have seen him in the Munster League, when he gets beaten for a ball, he tends to give up, or he tends to saunter after his man. He's got to learn from Seamus. Seamus Callan did that early in his career, and it was knocked out of him, and now we see him chasing back the whole time. Like, so I just love to see him maybe just show a bit more enthusiasm when he doesn't have the ball, and maybe in a defensive sense.
Yeah. Look, I've made 1 or 2 changes. We'll have to see the fitness of Seamus Callan, but if he's 100%, I would expect him to get in there somewhere. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the half back line. I think Enda Heffernan might get in there somewhere. I possibly ahead of Brian McGrath. And
like, another one that's had a good pre-Munster League was Pádraig Campion. Like, so probably like, he could go onto the wing too. Like, so or even so, like we seem to have loads of options in the half back line, midfield, half forward line area. It's probably the full back line where we're a little thin. And one of our halfbacks might have to be converted, like, so.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking that Alan Tynan might end up midfield, and
he has the legs to play there anyway. So
yeah, and we might even see Sean Ryan starting.
Well, yeah, he's a bolter. Like, it's we're worried about Sean's lack of size, maybe, but championship hurling top of the ground, like, he should be okay.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a couple of changes there, and this is kind of, us making sort of snap predictions of the team, and it could be wildly wrong. But look, we like to put our neck on the block for the crack. So I've kept the same full back line as you. I've slightly tweaked the half back line. I've tweaked Alan Tynan into midfield. This is based on how I'm seeing the teams being picked so far. But look, it's obviously tough to predict. But Tynan and Stapleton midfield, very workmanlike. Seamus Kennedy coming back, also workmanlike. Bowe and O'Connor, 2 big physical men. Morris with the pace, Callan with the eye for goal, and Sean Ryan similarly as well. So look, both of our teams are quite different, but get your comments in and let us know what you think the team should be and who should be there. Let's see. If Tip don't get out of Munster, it's a poor year, says Dennis Ryan. End of story. Schedule my arse.
Yeah, I wasn't saying the schedule. I just said it's tough when you have 2 away games to start. Like, and look, like, it's Ennis and it's Cork. Like, Clare gave Limerick their toughest games last year. Cork, under Pat Ryan, they have loads of talent. I'd be expecting Cork to have a better year. Like, we are rebuilding. Like, I'm not. I think can Tip get out of Munster in the top 3? They can, but we have a lot of ground to make up. The other 4 counties are ahead of us, like, so we lost the year last year, not in reality, like, so.
Yeah, I would say the last 3 years have all been very disappointing. So yeah, I think that's more or less this weekend as well against Laois. So let us know what you think will happen this weekend, who you'd like to see playing, what sort of team you'd like to see playing. Will we just talk briefly about the All-Ireland Club final impasse? So obviously, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you know that there was 16 players on the pitch, 17 if you include Paul Mannion walking off, when Kilmacud Crokes were defending that final 45 against Glen the other day. Darragh Mullen stayed on the pitch when a substitute was coming in. He was staying on the end line. I suppose, like, technically speaking, Glen are definitely within their rights. You can see how Kilmacud Crokes would feel aggrieved, but then again, the player didn't go off the pitch. And we saw with both All-Ireland finals last year, they were decided in the final moment. So I'm very torn on this one. I am very, very torn on this one. The GA left it up to Glen. Glen objected. Then Kilmacud counter-objected. But as things stand, it's going to be a replay, or it's down for a replay. Crokes may yet lodge an objection to the DRA, or they may just say, here, take the cup. We know we won it on the field. So it's all very unsightly at the moment.
It is. To be honest, every time this issue came on the radio or telly, I changed the channel for the last week. I know a rule was broken, but I just think it's been hyped up too much. Like, a mistake was made 99 times out of 100. Glen were not going to score from the last play. But I think the Croke Park messed up. Like, they should have adjudicated on this quicker. They made the right decision in terms of the rule, in terms of saying it should be replayed. I think the rule is wrong. Like for something that happened at the very end, the rule is you have to go back and play the whole match again and start at 0-0. It's nonsense. And I can understand why Kilmacud probably don't want to go near a rematch, because they could lose. And all they have to do is look back at 1998 and what happened to Clare. You knew well as soon as that rematch was ordered, 98, Clare had an Offaly were going to win. I think the rematch has been ordered, but I don't foresee it ever being taking place. I don't think Glen want a rematch either. I just think Glen wanted someone to take responsibility for what happened. Personally, I think Kilmacud have to take a share of the blame for as they didn't get their player off. The referee has to take a share of the blame, and these officials, because they allowed the play to restart without the Kilmacud sub having come off. And I think Glen have to take a portion of the blame for taking the 45 quickly before realistically it should have taken place. Like, so
is that not down to the ref as well?
It is, yeah, but they took it quick. They took it fast. Like, they tried to before Kilmacud could get set like properly. Like, so look, I think both teams have moved on. It's too much at this stage. Like, Kilmacud has switched off. They know I think Kilmacud know if they play a rematch in the next couple of weeks, they'll be beaten. And what happens then? Do Glen know? Would Glen be happy winning an All-Ireland in those circumstances? I don't think so. We've already seen a couple of the Glen lads that started playing for Derry. Shane Walsh should be wanted by Galway soon. There'll be a few Kilmacud lads wanted by Dublin.
But there's only league going on at the moment, and all these teams don't care about the league. So, I mean,
Dublin and particularly Derry do.
But Dublin are going to go through the league anyway.
Yeah, but you have to take it all. You have to balance it out. You have to look at it coldly. Like, you can't just say, Dublin don't need it or Galway don't need it. Derry need it. So,
but if you're to look at things coldly, Kilmacud Crokes had 16 players on the pitch. They broke the rules, whether they wanted to or not.
But they didn't do it deliberately, and that was the thing that annoyed me last week. That particularly people in our industry, I thought some of the talk about it was nearly as if Kilmacud deliberately did it. Like it's just nonsense and it's unfair, and everyone's kicking Kilmacud because they're the biggest club in Ireland that they've got Shane Walsh and they're getting. I still believe if the shoe was on the other foot, and Kilmacud were the team that lost, there'd be no sympathy for them. They'd be told to get on with it. Glen won. Like I just think it's big by Kilmacud, and I say, look, okay, a rule is broken. The GA did what they had to do. They ordered a replay, but I don't think a rematch solves anything.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Worse. I do think there's an anti-big club thing here, and because of the Shane Walsh thing, and I feel sorry for both teams, really.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be really, really strict about it, I think it does have to be a replay. But I agree, I don't think it's going to happen at all. Yeah. But like, look at this. We're talking about it there for the last few minutes, and we're not making any ground on it, really, because you can't be definitive about it. So I think no matter what, there's always going to be an asterisk over this All Ireland.
Yeah, like I know people might think she's Brophy stupid. Like I still go back to '98 and think, what was the match run up 3 minutes early plus added time? Like was that not unfair and Clare? There were 3 points up. You say, everybody comes back. We play the final 7 minutes. Clare 3-point lead. Like would the rule not come in? And that was the case. Like Glen, Kilmacud will all meet in Buckrath and Croke Park. Will get set for a final play. Like I just think. I can understand why Kilmacud don't want to go near a replay. They were 2 points up with time up. Why should they start a match 0-0 again? Having gone through 63, 64, built a 2-point lead when that happened. Like they're the ones that have more to lose than Glen than anyone else by a rematch.
Yeah, but like imagine the motivation that they're like, the entire country is against us. We're going to go out and sow it into these lads. I'd say it'd be a serious occasion.
Maybe so.
Yeah. The other thing is, I heard plenty of people in terms of like the Monaleen St. Joseph's Dora Bearfield match in the Munster Intermediate saying that there was 16 players on the pitch for a spell for Monaleen, but I don't think there was any video footage, anything conclusive. So I don't think any objection was ever lodged there. But
well, I think the one thing that'll be sorted out from this fiasco, I'd say it'll be in the regulations that the substitution issue will have to. I'd say we're going to see it like soccer now that a sub can't go on. That if you're coming off, you've got to come to the box. You've got to come to your box before a guy can go in, and that's that. I think that's like soccer. I know soccer have loosened it up where you can walk off the far side of the pitch just to speed the thing up. I think that's something the GA are going to tidy up now to get away from this.
And one other thing, I wonder if Crokes had to come out straight away and offer a replay, would that have Glenn just then instantly have gone, okay, grand? Because some people have said to me that the tweeting from Kilmacud Crokes of celebratory pictures and all that would have rubbed up Glenn the wrong way, and that was partly the reason that they decided to lodge an objection. Now, I'm not saying that Kilmacud did that with any badness in them. They were obviously celebrating, they were having the crack and all that, and they probably didn't think that an objection would be lodged, but that would have rubbed Glenn up the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm not convinced Glenn have the stomach for a rematch either. I don't. I think I take a lot of stock. I know Malachy O'Rourke spoke after the match and it was the heat of the moment, and I still think I have great time for Malachy. I think Malachy O'Rourke. I think he sees the wood from the trees. I don't think Glenn would want a rematch either, and I don't think there'll be a rematch. I think, look, maybe in history books it'll go down as no champion. Maybe Glenn will be awarded it. Maybe Kilmacud will get to keep it. I don't know, but I don't foresee the rematch ever happening.
Yeah. We'll move on to the Tipperary footballers. So you were there the other day, I believe, at the Tipperary Down match. Finished 2-11 to Down in Thurles, 1-11 to Tipperary. And Tip were well behind at half-time. Second half, bit of a revival. But overall, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, disappointing. Like you think, for the fact that Tip of just 3 home games out of the 7, so you want to be getting the off to a winning start, albeit against a downside side that were coming down from Division 2 and had a good McKenna Cup, and there was a bit of momentum behind them. But I Tip were just so disappointed in the first half, 1-6 to 2 points down at half time. But both the points were from frees. Didn't even have a shot from open play in the first half. Like, they were that poor. Just lacked intensity, just lacked anything really. And compared to Down, who were full of energy and vigor, and but the second half completely different, I suppose, helped by Stephen O'Brien coming on at half time. He was held back with a hamstring injury he suffered against Limerick a couple of weeks beforehand, and they were just the medics were concerned that and he had, well, maybe if he played 70 minutes, he would maybe exacerbate it. So he came on, he was very good. Mark Russell came on, got 2 points, and played Donald Leahy came on, got 2 points. So like the bench impact, Cahill Deely, Conor Cahill, 2 of the younger lads, they did well. It's just a pity. Like, if Tip had brought anything more in the first half, maybe we got in maybe 2, 3, 4 points down. Like, they had they'll rue it, I think, if they maybe come up 2 points short in terms of relegation, or 2 points maybe being relegated, not had 2 extra points. To look back on this one, because like, when the game was a game in the second half, and okay, Down had a man sent off, Tip were as good as Down, if not better. Like, so just left themselves with too much to do in the first half, and that was just a frustrating thing.
Yeah, Conor Sweeney getting a knee injury as well. I mean, potentially that's a huge blow if he's out for an extended period.
Yeah. I know he had the scan on Monday, and up to yesterday they were waiting the results. But I think that they're fearing the worst within the Tip camp. I know on Saturday night, I suppose, when you're hearing things after I suppose the physio on the sideline will always have a fair indication, even without a scan, that there could be a problem. And that was the vibe I was getting, that they're fearful, but hopefully maybe it's not going to be too long term, maybe back for championship. But I could be a sickener for Conor to if that's first game in the league and that's it. So hopefully maybe it's just maybe medial ligaments or something. That could be my best, maybe a couple of weeks maybe, but we'll have to wait and see. And
then the Tipperary ladies footballers, it's 2 wins from 2 now, 3-13 to 10 points win over Cavan. That was very impressive.
Yeah, good win, follow up from the West win over Westmeath. I saw the Westmeath game the previous week. So back in Division 2, 2 wins out of 2, like great start. Like, it's just go generating momentum, getting moving again. It was great to see Aisling Maloney back. Just knew that forward line needed a focal point. Like, she over almost 600 days out through injury, like, and a player of her ability. Like, she'd walk onto the Meath, the Dublin, the Cork teams, the very best teams of the country. Like, she'd be there. Like, so, and just it gives that forward unit a focal point, because they're a very, very young team still, like, especially in the forwards, like Ava Fennessy, Clara English, Nasa Towie, Sarah Ryan, all young. Marie Creedon's only young, which, like, she had a powerful game centre forward against Westmeath. Anna Rose Kennedy, powerful in the middle of the field, and Caitlin Kennedy still has to come back. So, like, they're building nicely. Like, they have, I don't know how the scheduling of the ladies football league is incredible. Like, Tipperary has 6 home games out of 7, which is ridiculous. I don't know how that did, but I remember seeing the fixtures at the time and thinking there must be a mistake here. Like, and no. So, like, they have Roscommon at home again next Sunday. Should be expected to win that one. I think it's basically their one away game is against Monaghan, who probably will be one of the teams to be vying for promotion with. So, and I think unless the league structures have changed, I think it's only 1 up, 1 down. So that could be the key one. So, but look, it's a great start. 2 wins from 2. You can only beat what's in front of you, and Tip have done that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the Hartry Cup final is coming up as well. Very exciting that it's the first ever all Tipperary final. So how much are you looking forward to seeing this? I mean, there's definitely got to be a bit of an excitement about this.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Like, I'd be fully expecting the crowd in Thurles on Sunday will be bigger than what will be there for the Tipperary hurlers on Saturday night. Like, that's how much, I suppose, it's captured the imagination of Thurles, and particularly Cahill, likes their first ever Hartry Cup final, and the guys at Cahill Community School, the old Cahill CBS, were there once back in the day. But look, it's fantastic. Like, it's sort of vindication that our underage structures and the work going on in the schools and in the clubs is paying off. Like we saw with the Tip minors last year, Thurles and Cahill in the latter stages. The Hartry, like both teams will go into the All-Ireland series regardless. You think Templemore were ahead of Ardscoil, reaching the quarter-final, just ran out of steam towards the end. Nina only missed out in the quarter-finals of the Hartry on score difference at the group stage. Clonmel and Carrigan-Shore were very competitive in the B competition. So look, just we're doing an awful lot right underage. But coming back to this Hartry final, it's a fascinating one. I think Cahill probably have the more experienced lineup. You have I have Adam Daly from the minors last year, Quinlan, you have Dara Spillane, Oisin O'Donoghue, Ronan Connolly. I think they have more guys up to the age, while Thurles probably have the more exciting team. They're slightly younger. Jimmy Lahart, Robbie Ryan, Joe Egan off last year's minor, Stephen Mulch off the minor team the year before. So it's fascinating. Like, you think Cashlin probably have more experience. I think Thurles probably have more talent, slightly younger. Thurles, huge scoring ability. Cahill have won their 2 quarter knockout games, I think, scoring 113 and 112. Maybe it'd be interesting. I suppose Semple Stadium probably plays into the hands of Thurles more. Will Cahill be able to keep the game tight if they're not able to keep up the score? And so I think it's fascinating. I'm hoping to get down to see it. If I'm not, I'll probably watch it on the live stream. It'll be a brilliant occasion. You can only imagine the noise that's going to be in there. Maybe they're probably expecting 5,000-6,000 people in there. Fantastic. I'd probably fancy Thurles, but excuse me. It's probably I just hope we get a good game just to round off what should be a great occasion.
Yeah, what an occasion it's going to be, and guaranteed a Tipperary winner, which is no harm at all.
Yeah, they won't go on to the All Ireland, and like you have Kieran's College there, you have the couple of Galway schools. So like, it wouldn't be an out of bounds a possibility that both teams could be in an All Ireland schools final in March. Like, so that's a possibility.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on before we finish up?
No, it's just good to be back. Like, it's great to. I suppose we'll know a lot more after this weekend with the hurling football and the Hartry. And I suppose you just hopefully from the Tip hurlers point of view, just seeing a bit more, and particularly with the Kilkenny and Dublin matches coming, like they'll be the key ones in terms of getting results to get to a league semi-final, which I think minimum what Tip we hope to get out of the league.
Yeah, okay, well that's it for the show this week. Let us know your thoughts if you watch the show after it's live. Give us any comments on what you think the Tip team will be for this year and if they'll get out of Munster. Thanks very much, Shane. We'll chat again next week.